Okay, so now we want to finish up our featured properties. We just have some hard-coded HTML here now. So what we're going to want to do is take one of these cards, which begin with the div with the BG white, and we want to cut that. So this div ends right here. So let's grab that. So again, it's going to be the BG white that's directly in the grid. So let's cut that one, and then I'm going to delete the other one. So that one ends right here. Get rid of that. All right, so basically we should just have the H2 and then have this div under it that with the grid classes. Now in components, I'm going to create a new one called featured property card .jsx. Now you could use the property card and then maybe add in a prop and have some conditionals where you change the layout to look like this. You could do that and save yourself a new file, but it would also make the property card more complicated. So I figure we just create a new one. So let's say RAFCE, and then I'm going to paste in what we copied. Okay, we'll just save that for now, and then in fetch properties, first off, well, if I save this right now, it's just going to show the heading. And I don't want to show any of this if there are no featured properties. So let's say return, and then if properties.length is greater than 0, then we want to show this. Okay, and we can test that out real quick just by changing. You guys don't have to do this, but I just want to show you if I change these back to false so that there's no featured properties. Say false, and update. Now you can see that doesn't show. Okay, let's put that back. Oops, I'm going to change that back to true. So as soon as there's a new property, featured property, then that shows. Let's do the other one. Change that to true. Okay. So now we want to go into the grid div, and let's take the properties. So take the properties, and then we're going to use .map, and let's say for each property, then we're going to want to show a featured property card, and we're going to pass in a key. The key will set to that property, that property ._ID, and then pass in the entire property as well. Okay, make sure you import this featured property card, which it auto imported for me. So I'm going to save that, and we should see those two cards. Now it's just hard-coded HTML, but the reason we see two is because there's two featured properties. So let's now go into our featured property card and pass in an object with property, and now we have access to all those values. So for instance, if we change the H3 here to property.name, let's get rid of that S. So if we do that, now you can see that the name has changed. So let's do the same with the type. So this will be type. Okay, now we get apartment and studio. Excuse me. The rate, we're gonna have to do the same kind of thing we did with the property card, because they might not have a monthly or weekly or whatever. So we'll do that in a minute. But let's change some of this other easy stuff. So the beds, we'll change that 4 to property.beds, and then this 3 will be property.baths. And then here we'll have the square feet. So square_feet. We'll do this stuff after the icons, but let's go down to the location. So for that, it's going to be property dot location dot, yeah, let's just do the city. We'll do the city, and then we'll do the state. So property dot location dot state. And let's see what else. Let's just save that, see if that stuff shows up. Okay, good. I do want to have a space after these 2 beds and baths and so on. So why don't we just add that, that, and that. And then I'll get to the image soon. The link, we need to use the next link. So let's import link from next link. And then down here in the A tag, we're going to change that to link. And of course, we want it to go to the actual property. So let's get rid of this, put in some backticks, and it's going to be slash properties slash, and then the property dot underscore ID. Okay, so let's just check that. Good, so that goes to the property. Let's see what else. Let's do the rate. So I'm actually going to open up the property card component because we're going to do the same type of thing where we create this function get rate display. So I'm going to grab that, and then in featured property card, let's go right here and paste that in. And then down where we have this 2,500 a week, we'll replace that. Actually, do we need the money sign, or is that included? Yeah, so we'll say money sign, and then let's do get rate display. Save that, and now we get, are those both 4,200? Let me just make sure. So this one, let's see, rates, yeah, monthly 4,200, and the other one, which is this, rates for, okay, so they're both 4,200. Now let's do the icons. So right now we're using iTags because it's from the theme where we use the CDN, but we're going to import each icon from React Icons. So let's bring in, let's say import from React /icons/ FA, and it's not, this should be a hyphen. All right, so the icons we want to bring in are going to be FA bed, FA bath, FA ruler combined, and FA money bill, FA, I think the last one we want is map marker. And then we'll replace the icons. So let's come down here. So this bed one, change that to FA bed. And then I think we're going to have to add an inline class. Yeah, see how the bed is on top. So let's add class name. We'll do inline. We should be able to do inline block. And then let's do MR2 to push it over a little bit. So if we take a look, there we go. And then I'm just going to copy that, and then we'll go to the baths icon. So this will be FA baths. And then the square feet is going to be the FA ruler combined. FA, oh, it's bath. Okay, so there's our icons. Now the right here, weekly, nightly, those are going to have that money bill icon, so we can replace. Actually, you know what? We need to check to see what they have available, just like we did in the property card. So we can grab that from here as well. Basically, this, and this. And we'll replace these two. And it already has the icon. All right, so it's just checking to see if the nightly, weekly, and monthly is there. If it is, then it'll show. All right, so that takes care of that. And then I think, oh, that we get the map marker icon. So let's go down to where we have the location. And instead of this I tag, let's do FA map marker. And let's take these two classes. Class name, paste that in, and then we can get rid of the I tag. And now we have the marker. And then the last thing we want to do is the image. So let's see, we need to import image. Okay, and then let's see, we'll go down to the IMG tag, get rid of that. The source is going to be, we're just going to get the first in the array. So let's say property.images and then the first item. And then for, let's see, we're going to add width. Let's set that to 0, set the height to 0, and then we'll do that sizes, set that to 100 VW. Save that. And there we go. So now we have our featured properties. They should stack. Everything should stack and look nice. All right, cool. Now if I were to change one of these is featured back to false, then obviously that's gonna go away here as well. Okay, and if I were to have no false, then this whole section, including the background and the heading, would go away as well. But I'm going to change that back to true. And yeah, we should be good. So we're basically done. I think in the next video, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the deployment because we want to be able to deploy this to Vercel. But yeah, just make sure everything's working. You know, we have our messages, we have our search. Yep. All right, so I'll see you in the next video where we'll do the deployment.